Baby, I can't lie, you look amazing. Like the models in my Playboy pages. Flashback.
Hello and welcome back to the Redskins rebuild. So in the last episode, I should say, the first technical episode, we got rid of our quarterbacks, narrowed it down. We got Jalen Hurts, which was amazing. We got rid of all our running backs, which we had a lot of, so we might potentially look to get more there. We have no fullbacks, so we won't be trading them today, but we will be trading our receivers. Now we got Terry McLaurin, who is obviously would be the top of my rebuild for an actual Redskins rebuild, but since we have to get rid of him because he's over that 70 overall, I'll take an 87 overall receiver on this team. He's got great trade value. He's also super young, so we'll see a team potentially that has a need at receiver. I know there are plenty of teams like the Saints that would need a receiver. You'd think the Patriots would have receiver towards the top of their list. They do have them at 5. Let's look at the Patriots and what they have to offer in return for a high caliber player like this. Not great. I would look to get like obvious studs for a guy that's this good. And Dalton Keene was a guy that we looked at. Let's actually look. I mean, he's got great trade value everywhere. Let's look for tight ends that we could potentially trade for that are like 70. See if we hit a dinger on one of these guys. So Adam Trout. Let's actually sort by speed. See if there's any like outstanding guys that are under 70 overall. Albert and Bukwam would almost make that cut. I mean, I'm sorry that he didn't. He would have been a great addition to this team. So 66. Not seeing a lot of great players here, but another thing is safety. Let's see if there are any amazingly fast safeties. So 25 might look to get somebody younger than that. 23 might be just about right, J.J. Abrams, but he's a little bit over that overall threshold. I mean, 24 and he's 67, and he might be a potential candidate. I mean, I definitely wouldn't accept anybody over 25 or under 90 overall. Too bad Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is too good. He would have been a great pickup. No, actually, Jalen Thompson. Ooh, he's just a little bit over. Along with Burgess. Damn, let's go to free safety, see if there's any steals there. Obviously, we have Troy Apke, so we could obviously keep him. I would like to get a guy who's a little bit younger than that. 23, PJ Locke. The third is actually a really good player. That we could potentially add to this squad. Sheldrick Redwine, another really good player. We might add him to this strong safety side in a potential trade. So let's go back up to PJ Locke. I know the Broncos got a terrible roster, so they definitely could use somebody on this team. So we were trading away. They do need a defensive tackle, so let's play to our strength. They definitely want Ioannidis. Obviously, he's one of the best defensive tackles and part of the best squad at the front seven in this league. So yeah, clearly they didn't want him. Right guard. Ooh, potentially add 2 right guards. Let's see if there's anybody else worth taking down here. Defensive tackle might be good. We'll actually have to look at our offensive roster. Duke Dawson Jr. He's also at that 90-90 cap, but I'm already looking for one of those right now, so I don't really want to look for his backup if I want him to be the starter. Obviously, PJ. Andrew Beck, tight end turned fullback for some reason. Yeah, there's just not really too many guys down here. Now, actually, let's see, that guy close to fitting. Let's see how many linemen we have right now that we want to keep on our roster before we make a potential trade for that guy. So we've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably don't want that guy. 4, 5, 6, 7. So we got, you know, enough. You know, let's count the starters. Like 1, 2, obviously. 3 potentially. And 4. So we might need 1 more or 2 more. I mean, we could definitely use all those players, so we might as well go ahead and make that trade to the Broncos. Give them Ionitis for those 3 players that we would need. So let's see. Add 2 more. No, we don't want Wilkins. Add 2 more guys there. And obviously PJ Locke. And they... Ooh, wait, they want more for this trade? Let's see, right guard, we do have Brandon Sheriff, but obviously we're not giving him up. Ismail, I would pretty much gladly give this guy up. I don't really need him. I don't need Chase either, but Chase might have better trade value somewhere else. D tackle. Now I'm already giving you Ionitis. Probably keep those guys. Don't really need this guy. They don't want any of these lower roster guys. So let's go to linebacker. John Bostic would have been a great player for this team. But if I can get him off, I might just get him off. Along with Reuben Foster. So if that's what we got to do to make the deal, we'll add Reuben Foster and a draft pick. What do we got here? Like a 7th? Maybe in next year 5th. Yeah, next year 5th wouldn't be bad. I'm tempted to go anywhere from the 4th or 3rd round next year. Just not close enough to get that deal done. So yeah, we'll just give him a next year's 3rd. Get rid of a few quality players on this roster. Pretty much done with the offensive line. We can focus on specialty positions. Let's see, we have one really good running back, but let's check the NFL, see if there's any good running backs around where I need to be for running back. So I want to get a guy that's fast, a guy that's young. Obviously we got a guy there, but you know, I'm not completely sold that he's the best running back available, and I'd like to look into every running back to make sure. Darwin Thompson, not really anything here. No. DJ, if he was a little bit faster, potentially. Anthony McFarland, if he was faster. DeVarrington Evans, potentially. Keyshawn Vaughn, a little bit slow, a little bit old. old. A lot of these guys are old. Jonathan, oh, not Jonathan Taylor, JJ Taylor. I was like, Jonathan Taylor is not below 70. So we got a 22-year-old that's 68. Travis Homer might be a good guy to add in this group. Pretty much we're set at quarterback and lineman. I think we got plenty of linemen now. Nobody really that I want to add here unless they were like 21 and super speed and had a decent overall, but really there's nobody that fits that mold. I do need to focus on tight end, but also focus on cornerback. Also, we did pick up another safety, but do we want Troy Apke as our safety though? Is the question. He's 25. I mean, he could be a good stopgap because the only guys down here were like not that good. I mean, the best one was maybe Will Harris or Sheldrick Redwine. Yeah, I think we're good on safety. I think cornerback is really where I want to look. Okay, well, we got one guy already. We got Javelin Gentry. Let's go and see how many we got at cornerback, actually. So we can't have any of these players, but we do have Greg Stroman, who was a stud for us in our last season. And obviously we got Javelin Gentry, who is a speed demon across the board. Potentially Danny Johnson might make the end of this roster. Let's see who's in the free agency. Let's add some free agents. Let's see. Trevor Simeon's off the board. Tempted to add some quarterbacks there. Let's see. Running back wise, Rodney Anderson might be a good backup. Mark Walton Jr. I'll take Adrian Killins Jr. actually. 22, super fast. Potentially not a whole lot of guys down here. I guess we'll take Robbie Anderson. Well, let's take Robbie and Mark Walton, seeing as how we might have to cut some of these guys on the roster anyway. These guys are a little bit more power backy, but you know, sometimes beggars can't be choosers. Fullbacks, I don't really like to carry fullback, and there's nobody here anyway. XX 12. Let's see. See if there's some studs down here. Emmanuel Hall from our other rebuild potentially could be a stud for this team as well. So a few unknown commodities here. Greg Jennings and Logan or Jay Thomas. We can add some guys here. I'm fine having, you know, a decent, not great receiving core. Obviously we do a lot more. It has to do more with scheme than actual skill. Just try to get like guys against good coverages, like all that good stuff. Deontay Burnett. Deontay Burnett's probably the last guy we'll add from free agency. The last guy who kind of fits that mold, and also we'll kind of look at that in a moment. Tight end is a big position that I need to fill. I love throwing two tight ends. Hakeem Butler actually looks outstanding. This dude might be our cornerstone for this franchise. His overall and age are perfect. Crom and Eric Sobort. Yeah, we'll probably try to look, but we'll add these three guys here and see which other of our guys fit the roster as well. Eric Sobert. And we'll add this last guy as well, Dylan Cantrell. Also, we'll have the oh, what was I gonna say? We'll have like open roster spots. Like we'll try to get all these roster spots filled. Obviously, we want to incorporate really good players here. We'll go back and forth between free agency and trading. Fill out these position by position. Just kind of skip around, you know, where I feel the biggest holes in the scheme are. That's where I'll try to fill players first, kind of by on that priority basis. I'll try to add 64. I mean, we'll throw some of these guys in here, just see what we got on our roster. I don't want to be short and then not have anybody in. Also, there's only going to be a couple weeks before our roster gets a little bit more of a shakeup, but I'm just trying to get like the base roster down before all those players are flooded into the free agency as well, so that I can kind of already have everything picked over. 60. I mean, this guy's got great speed, but not quite the age we're looking for. Free agency's kind of bare for speed this year, looks like. D tackle, we'll just take the top ones available. Willie Henry Jr. was a edge rusher turned D tackle. No real studs in here. Julian Taylor's a guy I might look to build on for the next couple, maybe just the season. We'll see how that all works out. Now I have a couple more 26-year-olds up on this roster, and then we'll be good for the defensive tackle position. Right end, obviously only when I add a guy with speed. XX, is there XX at every position? Let's see. No real speed here either. On to the linebacking groups. This dude has pretty insane speed. Fonse Joseph definitely looks like a guy who could make this final roster with the 88 speed. Let's see. DeAndre Walker. DeAndre Walker might make this final cut. Willie Harvey again, another Willie Harvey. Let's add DeAndre Walker. He could be a potential development piece for a couple years actually. Maybe develop him as a backup, a career backup. That Noah Dawkins I would love to have on this roster, but only 60 overall. We'll add Noah Dawkins. He could be another player that's, you know, off the same strand, kind of continuing on from our other series. Amazing to incorporate kind of those two things together. Kind of tie both of our series to the same timeline, you know. Nobody else really good here. But he's 60 at the middle linebacker position, so if I move him to an outside linebacker position, he might go up to like 63 or 65, so it might look a little bit better for window dressing purposes. 23. We'll add both of these guys here that are 23. Both have pretty good speed, pretty good excel, just not a great overall or a great age. And we'll finish up this free agency, and then we will call this an episode. Another XX. It's actually kind of funny. It's just a random player at the bottom of every roster. Let's see, doesn't look like there's anything great here. Cyrus Jones, we might have to add out of necessity. Michael Jackson Jr. Michael Jackson Sr., I should say. Not great. Looks like potentially Sias just to hold us over. Let's just add both of them to be safe. Potentially look to trade for better cornerbacks. We still have a ton of trade value to get rid of. Michael Jackson, he's only 23, so still very young. Ooh, Monte Nicholson, 24 years old. A potential building piece, and he's actually a former Redskin already, so he's probably the only guy I'll pick up at a free safety position. 2 XXs. One's bad, one's decent. They might just be placeholders that forgot to be placed, or just to show the end of the roster. Let's see. Nothing great here. Let's see, kickers in terms of kick power. 69, but he is really old. We'll take John Brown, another guy that we've had before. But just for this series, we should probably take the guy who's better. John Brown, another guy I might love to add. I'll actually add him just in case. But he's 28 already. No, we'll keep him on the bench. Johnny Townsend, only 25. He's got great kick power, but kind of terrible accuracy. But he's about as good as you can get. Matt Weil, we might just sign him and see if we can't trade for a better one. If we got, you know, a couple straggling players. That'll do it for this episode, though, guys. Here you can see our roster's kind of getting a little bit more flushed out. We're down to a 75 on offense and a 79 on defense, so we're kind of trading players around. We got a bunch of excess players. You can see that 105 out of 75. But we're slowly getting, you know, some fillings into this team. We'll start to flush out, you know, what we actually need and what we don't need, and get all these rest of these players traded off the team. And then look forward to the rest of the roster. I'll play a couple preseason weeks. We'll get to preseason week 4, and then, you know, add a couple stragglers that get dropped from other teams and trades to happen and whatnot. So we'll look to add more players at the end of that. But that'll do it for this episode, guys. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for subbing. Thanks for all the community support. I'll probably drop some of the love comments that I get at the ends of some of my videos. So hopefully I can see more of those. I love seeing those. Talking about, you know, whether you like the intros, outros, whether you liked what I'm doing, all that great stuff. But that'll do it for this episode. Thank you for watching, and expect more content down the line.
Maybe I can't lie, you look amazing, like the models in my Playboy pages. Flashback to my image.